One's ready. One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 24th of June. All right, going into it. Before we do that though, would love for you guys to go over to drinkhoist.com. Get yourself some IV level hydration over there. They've got ready to drinks. They've got little pouches that are awesome for tactical purposes, right? Like they're nice and small, packed with a whole lot of electrolytes and stuff like that, and you can just fit it right in your pocket or even some of your kit. Also, they have powders, little packets of powder that, guess what? It doesn't have any dyes in it. None of their stuff has dyes in it. And so that it's great for on the go if you're traveling a lot or even if you're out in the field. Use the promo code ONESREADY to get yourself a discount on it, but you can also find it in any commissary, HEB, Safeway, and that kind of stuff. And I'm seeing them in gas stations, but I don't know, it's all up to that gas station owner whether or not they carry it. All right, joint news. Iran launches attack on U.S. base in Qatar. Air defenses at Al-Udeid Air Base, Qatar, intercepted 13 of 14 Iranian missiles targeting the base in retaliation for U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. President Trump noted the remaining missiles posed no threat, and Qatari officials reported no injuries. The Trump administration urged Iran to resume talks to prevent nuclear weapon development. Man, it's all over the place right now, but you could see President Trump's interview. Seems like it was out in front of the White House. He was about to load up on the helicopter and he dropped an F-bomb, which was very, very appropriate. I love it. I agree with it. I actually think there should be more of that, but that's me. I also have a potty mouth. Next, Cyber Command supports strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Great, glad we got your support, Cyber Command. U.S. Cyber Command, alongside Space Command and Space Force, supported B-2 Spirit bombers in Operation Midnight Hammer targeting Iran's nuclear sites. Experts emphasize that cyber operations are integral to modern military actions, potentially compromising enemy air defenses through specific details, although specific details remain undisclosed, of course, because they're uber classified. I think it is an understatement to say that so much of what the military does relies on cyber and space operations. It's easy to gloss over and you're like, okay, yeah, whatever, dude, we can do whatever we want with cyber and space or without cyber and space stuff. But that's at a, quote unquote lower level, right? If we're talking about some high-end stuff, degrading integrated air defense systems, IADS, and stuff like that, you are going to require, without a doubt, cyber and space operations. Next, Air Force news. The Air Force Fitness Test may include 2-mile runs twice a year. Get up for it. The Air Force plans to enhance fitness testing by requiring airmen to run 2 miles and test biannually to ensure readiness for short-notice deployments. Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, David Flossie, highlighted the need for preparedness with final test details still pending. Dude, the amount of crying, whining, complaining, and just straight up bitch status on the Facebook's Airman NCO, Senior NCO page is unbelievable. You got so many people that are so upset about having to run 2 miles twice a year. It's insane. Suck it up, you fat pieces of crap. Do better. Be better. This is only to help you, and you're complaining about it like some baby back bitch. Get over yourself. You know it's coming. Get off your fat ass and get out there and work out. Train for it. make yourself better. Maybe if you have kids, maybe you're going to teach them things as well. You know, you look like a fat piece of crap in your uniform. There's so many dudes that are around here walking around like they look like they're pregnant while they're in uniform because their beer belly's about to bust. Disgusting. Dual use military and civil airports face cyber threats. Department of the Air Force officials warn that dual-use airports are vulnerable to cyber attacks, which could disrupt military operations. A nonprofit report highlighted that adversaries could target these facilities to hinder U.S. force deployment and sustainment. Yeah, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of cyber attacks every single day. It's I don't want to say it's nothing new, and I'm not diminishing what that just said, but it's like, yeah, we know these things. That's why we have to do all these computer-based training all the time to talk about this, cyber awareness training, classification training. Like it's a whole bunch. And guess what? Even when you're not active duty, if another company hires you on, a lot of times you got to do their training, right? Because they're still trying to protect their networks as well. Next, U.S. Air Force training for Pacific War. The Air Force conducted aerial refueling training with KC-46 Pegasus aircraft in the Indo-Pacific to enhance air superiority. Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Waldy noted that distance poses a significant challenge for power projection in the region. Yeah, tyranny of distance is a major in the Pacific and on the continent of Africa. Like that place is enormous. And man, it is a real challenge. All right, next, preparing for B-2 bomber missions. B-2 bomber missions require extensive preparation, including sleep studies and nutritional planning for pilots. Retired Lieutenant General Steve Basham emphasized the complexity of high-altitude refueling and the critical role of ground planners and maintainers. Yeah, 100% agree with all of that. I don't necessarily know that high-altitude refueling is that complex. I mean, our pilots train for it all the time, and they do it in the simulator and they do it in real world. But the intricate and nuanced planning of getting an operation like this, not just off the ground, but then to be successful and plan for contingencies, it takes professional planners to do it. And that's, I guarantee, most of the people that were in that planning cell were graduates of the weapons school. Now, I'm sure there were some non-patches, but so many of them, if not all of them, were weapons school graduates. And then let's not count out the maintainers, because the maintainers, the POL, the airfield support, airfield management, airfield support, all the SARMs people that were making sure that the pilots were trained and ready to go. Like, there are so many things that go into it. It's not just pilots step to an aircraft and hop in, crank the key, turn over the engine, and then take off. Without the maintainers, they wouldn't be fixed and able to fly and prepped and ready to go. Without POL, they wouldn't have fuel. Without air traffic controllers in the tower, they wouldn't be able to take off. Without airfield management, they wouldn't be able to take off on a nicely maintained runway. Same with CE. Like, they all rely on each other to make sure that the mission goes. Next, B-2 strikes on Iran highlight air power's role. Operation Midnight Hammer showcased the B-2's stealth capabilities in striking Iranian nuclear sites, underscoring the continued importance of crewed aircraft. Experts noted the mission's success in penetrating air defenses sends a strategic message to the global adversaries. Yeah, but I mean, yes, it was a relatively complex mission, but it wasn't that insane, guys. Like, it's really cool that it happened. And were there dangers? Of course there were. But we're talking about 125 aircraft that include strike aircraft, offensive counter air, defensive counter air. I know I'm using using terms. Let's see here. Air superiority type aircraft. How about that? And making sure that the B-2s can punch in and get to where they need to go and then get out. Like, yes, it was complex, but it wasn't anything that's like, oh my God, it's not like if we were going in the Pacific for sure. All right, next. F-15EX faces supply chain issues. Geez, man, the thing is brand new. The F-15EX and its electronic warfare suit encountered supply chain challenges, including risks from diminishing vendors, according to a GAO or Government Accountability report. Despite an 8% cost reduction, cyber resiliency gaps and installation issues persist. Boeing, get your shit together. Technical Sergeant promotions surge in 2025. Congrats to all those who found out today that you made Tech Sergeant. The list is not officially out yet, so don't give up hope if you didn't get told today. The Air Force promoted 25.6% of eligible staff sergeants to Technical Sergeant, the highest rate since 2021. Results will be released soon, reflecting strong retention rates reported at 90%. Holy cow, 90% retention rate at, whoa, that's huge. I know that if you're not, I realize that if you're not in this space, like you don't realize, likely don't realize how much a 90% retention is, but that's massive. That I put a lot of that down to the economy, I bet. And a lot of people are enjoying serving in the Air Force right now. Controlled detonations at Hill Air Force Base. Hill Air Force Base and Thule Army Depot began controlled detonations to dispose of obsolete rocket motors involving 10,000 pounds of explosives. Residents in nearby counties reported feeling the effects prior to detonations. Gotta love it when things blow up. Love it. Space Force news. Space Force advances SCAR program integration. The Space Force aims to enhance orbital warfare by integrating its Satellite Communications Augmentation Resource, or SCAR, with the Rapid Resilient Command and Control program. Director Kelly Hammett emphasized the urgent need for multiple SCAR units, with 3 currently funded. I am not familiar with these units, so I can't give you any details on that. First Space Force Guardian shares space mission experience. Colonel Nick Hague discussed his mission to return astronauts from the International Space Station, highlighting the physical challenges of space. Yeah, no kidding. He noted the visual impact of Starlink satellites in low orbit, likening them to fireflies. Dude, to go into space and see all that stuff that's flying around, like, it's cool. And if you don't think it's cool, man, get a life. Huntsville company selected for Space Force contract. A Huntsville-based firm is among 12 selected for Space Force's $237 million Space Test Experiments Program 2.0. The program aims to leverage industry expertise to advance space testing capabilities. All right, of interest. Operation Midnight Hammer, B-2 mission from Missouri, B-2 bombers. We've already talked about this. This is just a regurgitation, so I'm going to skip it. Trump announced ceasefire amid Iran-Israel tensions. President Trump announced a ceasefire in Iran-Israel conflict, but Iran's missile attack on Israel, killing 3, and an attack on Al-Udeid Air Base suggested ongoing tensions. Iran indicated a willingness to de-escalate if Israel halts the attacks. The whole ceasefire thing got broken anyway. The weird thing is that everybody's like, well, hey, there's a 12-hour clock on the ceasefire. Why didn't it just happen immediately? Well, that's because you have so many different echelons of command. And, once it comes from the top, the politicians or the government, it's got to flow down through all to the lowest level, to the actual dude that's pushing the button. Because the dude that's pushing the button is a lower level person. And that's not taken away from them. That's just where they happen to be at. They're at the lowest level. So it takes a long time for those communications to cycle down. That's why. And then, Iran had had gone through and fired something, but it was kind of like at the beginning of the ceasefire, so that kind of makes sense. I'm not justifying it, but that kind of makes sense. But what Israel did at the end, at like the 11th hour, it doesn't look great, that's for sure. DoD seeks right to repair equipment. The DoD, or the Department of Defense, faces challenges repairing equipment due to restrictive contracts, limited operational readiness. Experts advocate for DoD to secure repair rights and access to parts at a reasonable cost. 100%. These contracts are extremely restrictive. I can tell you right now that some of the radios that we get from certain companies, because I won't say them because I don't want to get sued, certain companies, is that we cannot do the maintenance on them. We have radio maintenance folks that are extremely intelligent and extremely capable. However, if they were to break the seal on those radios, that radio then becomes void, the warranty, and so the warranty is void, and if they can't fix it, they're then not allowed to send it back to the factory or the manufacturer to get fixed. Like it basically bricks the entire radio. So those contracts, they suck. And then because of this, we outsource so much of our maintenance for things that when it comes time for that contract to not get renewed, or the contract moves to a different thing, that we don't have folks that know how to fix items and repair items. So it's a big issue. Next, Ukraine's Spiderweb drone operation targets Russian bombers. Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb used drones hidden in prefabricated houses to damage Russian strategic bombers. The drones, equipped with double warheads, targeted critical aircraft components with logistics facilitated by bribing customs agents. I guess everybody can be bought. South Korea's new defense leadership prioritizes continuity. South Korea's new president appointed a lawmaker to defense minister, signaling a focus on transparency and U.S. alliance continuity. Experts predict a status quo approach to counter North Korea's antagonism. All right, let's see. Last one. Priorities for NATO's space mission. Analysts recommend NATO update its space doctrine, foster commercial partnerships, and increase space defense spending, develop interoperable capabilities, and enhance intelligence sharing. These steps aim to address growing space competition. Listen, appreciate you being here. I know I went a little hard on the fatties, but, that's just... Man, when you see people walking around in uniforms that just look like a bag of ass, or that if I got in a car accident, that person couldn't pull me out or drag me out of a house fire, like, it's kind of messed up. So you guys need to do better. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're out here. See you!